In the summer of 2011, a Florida jury looked at 33 days of testimony, 400 pieces of evidence, and a dead 2-year-old girl, and said, not guilty. The courtroom erupted. The internet lost its mind. Nancy Grace practically declared war on the justice system. Across America, people who had watched every second of the trial felt something close to physical sickness. But here's the question that has never gone away. Did Caylee Anthony actually get away with murder? Or did the prosecution lose a case they were always going to lose? Today, we're going back. From the first 911 call, to the duct tape, to the closing arguments that sealed Caylee Anthony's fate. This is the full story. Caylee Marie Anthony was born on August 9th, 2005. She was 2 years old when she disappeared, and nobody called the police for 31 days. Let that sit for a moment. Caylee Anthony was 22 years old in the summer of 2008. She lived with her parents, George and Cindy, in Orlando, Florida. By all accounts, Caylee was a bright, energetic little girl, the kind of child who lit up every home video she was in. Caylee posted pictures of her daughter constantly on MySpace. On June 16th, 2008, Caylee left the family home with Caylee. It was the last time George Anthony ever saw his granddaughter alive. For the next 31 days, Caylee told her parents that Caylee was with a nanny, a woman named Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez, whom everyone would come to know simply as Zanny. She told them Caylee was fine. She told them she was working at Universal Studios, a job she no longer had. She told them a lot of things. On July 15th, 2008, Cindy Anthony finally snapped. She tracked down Caylee's car, which had been towed to an impound lot. And when she opened the trunk, she later told police it smelled like a dead body. She called 911 3 times. In that first call, Cindy screamed, "They found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car." When officers sat down with Caylee, she told them Caylee was with Zanny the nanny. She had been for the past month. She didn't know where they were. She wasn't worried. Police searched for Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez. They found her, a real woman, completely unrelated to the Anthony family, who had never met Caylee or Caylee in her life. As detectives dug deeper, Caylee Anthony's story didn't just unravel, it disintegrated. She told police she worked at Universal Studios. She actually led them there in person. Halfway through the walk to her supposed office, she stopped and admitted she hadn't worked there in years. She invented friends. She invented colleagues. She invented entire conversations. Investigators couldn't find a single piece of her story that held up. Meanwhile, forensic teams were tearing apart her car. Testing on the trunk liner detected chloroform and the decomposition of human remains. A strand of hair recovered from the trunk showed banding consistent with post-mortem root growth. In plain language, someone who was already dead had been in that trunk. Then, investigators looked at Caylee's computer searches. In the weeks before Caylee vanished, someone had searched how to make chloroform, neck breaking, death, missing children. Caylee, meanwhile, was photographed at nightclubs. She entered and won a hot body contest at a bar called Fusion Ultra Lounge just days after her daughter disappeared. She got a tattoo that read, in Italian, La Bella Vita, the beautiful life. On October 14, 2008, a grand jury indicted Caylee Anthony on first-degree murder. On December 11, 2008, a utility worker named Roy Kronk found a skull in a plastic bag in a swampy area near the Anthony home. Beside it, a laundry bag, duct tape near the mouth and nose, a Winnie the Pooh blanket, the same kind Caylee had at home. The medical examiner ruled the manner of death homicide. But because of the advanced decomposition, the specific cause of death could not be determined. That single forensic gap would define everything that came next. The trial began on May 24, 2011. It was televised. It became appointment viewing for millions of Americans. HLN ran it wall to wall. People took time off work to watch. Twitter was consumed by it. The prosecution built their case on a simple, devastating theory. Caylee Anthony wanted to be free. Free from the responsibility of a child. Free to party, to be with her boyfriend, to live la bella vita. So she chloroformed her daughter, suffocated her with duct tape, and dumped her body in the woods. The defense, led by Jose Baez, opened with one of the most jaw-dropping statements in modern American trial history. He told the jury, Caylee Anthony did not die on June 16th. She drowned, accidentally, in the family swimming pool. And the cover-up wasn't Casey's idea. It was George Anthony's. Because Baez claimed George had sexually abused Caylee since she was 8 years old, and she had been conditioned her entire life to hide family secrets. The courtroom went silent. George Anthony denied the abuse. He denied everything. He broke down on the stand. But the seed had been planted. The prosecution's case had serious problems. Their chloroform evidence, which their own expert initially called the highest levels he had ever seen, was later walked back dramatically. The actual concentration found was far lower. The forensic odor analysis of the trunk was a relatively new science, not yet widely accepted. The computer searches, when re-examined, showed that some of the most damning ones had been misattributed. The number of chloroform searches was revised, from 84 visits down to 1. The defense attacked every pillar. Kronk, the man who found the body, had called police about bones in that area months earlier, before anyone officially searched there. The defense suggested he had moved the remains. The duct tape showed no biological material linking it to Caylee. And without a cause of death, the prosecution was asking the jury to conclude murder without being able to say how the murder happened. In closing, Jeff Ashton told the jury that Caylee Anthony was a liar, that everything she had told everyone, her entire life, was a lie, and that the evidence pointed to only one conclusion. Jose Baez told the jury something different. He said the prosecution had confused morally reprehensible with criminal. That Caylee Anthony was a dysfunctional, damaged young woman. But dysfunction is not proof of murder. The burden of proof, he reminded them, is always on the state. The jury deliberated for 10 hours and 40 minutes. On July 5, 2011, the day before the 3rd anniversary of Caylee's disappearance, they returned. Not guilty of first-degree murder. Not guilty of aggravated child abuse. Not guilty of aggravated manslaughter. Guilty of 4 counts of lying to law enforcement. She was sentenced to 4 years, time already served. Caylee Anthony walked out of jail on July 17, 2011. The reaction was unlike almost anything seen before in an American criminal trial. Protesters gathered outside the courthouse. Jurors received death threats. A woman in Tennessee was arrested for threatening a juror. Across the internet, people who had never set foot in Florida declared themselves certain of what 12 jurors had found unprovable. Juror number 3, Jennifer Ford, said afterward, "I did not say she was innocent. I said there was not enough evidence. If you cannot prove what the crime was, you cannot determine what the punishment should be." That is not a statement of satisfaction. That is a statement of failure. The prosecution's failure to build a case that could survive reasonable doubt. Caylee Anthony has lived in near total seclusion since her release. She cannot appear publicly without threats. She cannot use her real name safely. In 2017, she formed a private investigation company in Florida, reportedly working on wrongful conviction cases. The irony was not lost on anyone. In 2023, she gave an interview saying she plans to have more children someday. The internet reacted exactly as you'd expect. The real Zenaida Fernandez-Gonzalez, the woman Caylee named as Zanny the Nanny, sued Caylee for defamation, arguing her life had been destroyed by the association. The suit was eventually settled. George and Cindy Anthony separated for years after the trial. They have since reconciled. They've stated publicly that they believe Caylee's death was accidental, a position that aligns with the defense's theory and one that has never stopped dividing opinion. Caylee Anthony's remains were cremated. Her ashes were scattered. There is no grave, no marker. Somewhere a little girl who loved Winnie the Pooh and had a big smile in every photograph simply ceased to exist. And the legal system produced no one accountable for it. The Caylee Anthony case is a lesson in what a criminal trial actually is and what it is not. It is not a search for truth. It is not a forum for public grief. It is a structured process in which the state must prove beyond reasonable doubt that a specific person committed a specific crime in a specific way. When the body decomposes in Florida summer heat for 6 months, that burden becomes almost impossible to meet, regardless of what you believe happened in that house. Did Caylee Anthony kill her daughter? Millions of people believe the answer is yes. The jury, the 12 people who actually sat through every piece of evidence, said, "We cannot prove it." Those are not the same thing. Caylee Anthony was 2 years old. She deserved better from every adult in her life and from a justice system that ultimately couldn't deliver answers for her. If this case got under your skin, drop a comment. Tell me what you think really happened. And if you're new here, this is Beyond the Case, where every case deserves a second look. Subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.